Okay, so I left off reading Genesis 1 and telling you why I believe that that Adam was a golem. Now I'll read for you Genesis, the second chapter, which is, in my opinion, the second Adam. If I can get there. Okay. If for those of you who are curious and you want to look some of these things up, you may run into a book called Fourth Ezra. Fourth Ezra and make sure my mic is on. Oh yeah, it's on. Fourth Ezra and Second Esdras are the same. Okay, you may see it as the fourth apocalypse of Ezra. That's Second Esdras. Genesis 1, verse 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Now, in my opinion, the second Adam was an android. And that's what they created the second time after the golem was so wicked. It was too evil. They had to destroy it. The second time, they created an android. Male and female created he them. Now, what's male and female? I think this is just the best way for the writers who crafted Genesis to say male and female. But we know those people as hermaphrodites. They do exist, but they're actual people. I don't believe Adam was an actual flesh and blood kind of person. I think he was definitely an android, which means that he was asexual. But the writers said male and female. I think that was their way of saying what we would call today an android. And I'll go into detail, great depths in my next book. God hasn't given me the time yet. When you write books, those of you who are interested in writing, you must have time to just sit and think, leisure. I haven't had that in several years. So I don't know when I'll be able to write my next book. But my opinion is that the descendants of Adam are actually the descendants of Abel. And I'll go into great detail in my book explaining why. I actually do not believe that Adam was the father of Abel, although it says that in the text. He was an android, so he wouldn't have been able to produce children. Now, in Genesis 6, it does tell us that the Nephilim came down and began to take those, it calls the daughters of men. Just like the text called Adam man, Genesis 6 called the Lulu. I've told you about the Lulu before, right? At some point, when you go, you got to be reading the Sumerian tablets, but it says that the Anunnaki were here harvesting gold from the earth to take it back to Nibiru. That's the planet I was telling you about that's back. Well, they were taking gold from here to take it there, you see. And Revelation does say that there's so much gold on Nibiru, even the streets are paved with gold. Now, this isn't a mythical place. Revelation tells us that the streets are paved with gold. Well, that's where they got the gold from. Much of it was from the earth. Well, the text in the Sumerian text say that eventually the people that were working for the Anunnaki, or the Anunnaki themselves, began to complain about the endless work. And Enki, the one who's always loved humanity, it says that he took the complaint to heart and went to a place called Adapa, I believe. We know that place to be South Africa. And it says that he took male and female apes and began to manipulate them so that they can understand commands and do the work that the Anunnaki didn't want to do anymore. And the ancient texts refer to them as Lulu. And, even to this day, certain Gentiles name their children Lulu. So, and that's where that comes from. Or sometimes you may see it as Lulan. Lulan may be one, Lulu is several, So, those are actually the daughters of men that the Nephilim mated with. It wasn't black women. Those were the ape women that Enki created to do the work. Well, if you know anything about the Nephilim, you know that Satan leads this group. So if they came, guess who was with them? Satan was with them. And when they made it with the Lulu, so did he. And so there is a group of people on the earth who are direct descendants of Satan through Abel, because I believe it was Abel who was the son of Satan. And I know this is kind of deep and it may be too much for you right now, but I'm just giving it to you because there's no way for me to explain it without at least giving you some of it. I may not go into as much detail as I need to, but I can at least whet your appetite and have you anticipating my next book. I will go into great detail. I only dabbled in it in my book Beyond Believing. This book could have been this thick if I had gone into detail about many of the topics that I brought up, but I didn't want to lose the people. I especially wanted my people to read the book so that they can have a better idea of who they are. And so that's why I only mention things in passing in this book, but it gives you enough to go and find things on your own. And that's what I'm doing now, giving you enough to go and search things on your own. So, because Adam was an android, and the Bible does say that Adam had a wife. My position in Beyond Believing is that his wife was not Eve. He had a Lulu. They gave him a Lulu. And that's the one that Satan used to create Abel, who is the progenitor of the Gentiles, of the tare, you see. Jesus mentioned that the wheat and the tare, somebody planted tare in the garden with the wheat, you see. He said they have to grow together, lest you do too much damage to the wheat, trying to take out the tare, you see. So Abel was Satan's son, not Adam. And I know that this is mind-blowing, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. And this is the progenitor of all the texts called Adam's descendants. And maybe I need to do a third video because this one is now running out, okay? But it's something to think about. Selah.